Stu, oh, what a happy day. I mean, what a sad, sad day for CNN.
You sound really authentic there, just
Thank
talking
you.
about your absolute incredible pain that you're feeling for
Oh,
the whole organization of CNN today. They were stunned.
Yeah, stunned by this. Everybody knew this, stunned by this. These are the people that got on their moral high horse about everyone who's ever said anything in the third grade that now is deemed politically incorrect. And so they were leading the charge for everybody to be canceled. These were the people that were so outraged that Roger Ailes would be manhandling women. And it is just a sleaze show, not like over here. You're right, Fox, even from what we learned about Fox, in the last couple of years, it was never like CNN. I got to tell you, CNN, if you ever go there, do yourself a favor. Don't bring a black light, because I think you'll vomit all the way back to the elevator.
Ew. You were able
It's
there,
worse,
Glenn.
It's worse than a bad, cheap motel, I'm sure it is.
They do have hourly rates when you walk in the door of CNN, which is a strange development
I'm
for a
paid
news
by
network.
the hour means something entirely different.
You simultaneously there hit on, I think, the most disgusting and most important point, which was that they have been criticizing everybody else for this exact type of stuff for such a long time, and with a straight face, and they never paid a price for it at all, and now it seems like a lot of this is crumbling to the ground.
We have, Tube Steak Tubin that is still there. Why now why they didn't fire him, because of Zucker. We have Don Lemon. He was touching his junk and then rubbed it in the face of a guy at a bar, all kinds of witnesses of it. He gets on the air and he is moralizing, telling everybody, oh my gosh, doing things that could be thought of as others, as sexual assault. Your words and your actions, you need to be held responsible. This guy, he kept his job. Why? I wonder if he knew about Zucker. Because they say at CNN, everyone knew.
Well, and it's incredible. How many times did we say this exact thing? We said it during Tubin. We said it during all the Cuomo stuff. Why on earth were they protecting Chris Cuomo, this terrible host who has awful ratings, has never done anything of note other than lie his entire career? And they kept protecting him month after month after month, and it was perplexing to anyone on the outside. Well, we now know.
Hang on just a second. Especially since Cuomo left. You could say they kept him there for access to the governor, which is sickening, but you could say that. We want to make sure that we have a good relationship with a very powerful governor of New York. But once he was gone, what was the reason?
Yeah, and to be clear, that might be a legitimate human motivation for someone. If you want to keep, we want to piss off the governor. That might be a legitimate human motivation. It's a disgraceful news organization motivation.
Oh yeah.
And this is what CNN has been throughout this entire process, an absolute disgrace at every turn. Look, Chris Cuomo is out there with his brother doing interview after interview that are softballs. They're not addressing the fact that thousands of people are dying because of the policies of his brother. He's helping his brother on the air. He's writing speeches that other news anchors are covering on CNN. Chris Cuomo is emailing the speech to his brother, who then gives the speech, which is then covered by his coworkers. This is insane. It's not even remotely close to journalism. And so they go through this whole process, and finally it starts to crumble down. It's a house of cards. And you wonder why they protect Chris Cuomo, why they are doing all this. Well, Chris Cuomo had information. Information is power, boys and girls. This is a lesson you should know.
It is. And, here's the thing. Zucker said yesterday, in case you don't know, he said, as part of the investigation into Chris Cuomo's tenure at CNN, I was asked about a consensual relationship with my closest colleague, someone I've worked with for more than 20 years. I acknowledge the relationship evolved in recent years. I was required to disclose it when I began, but I didn't, and I was wrong. As a result, I'm resigning today. He says that this relationship changed during the COVID pandemic. I mean, you should have taken your own advice and, I don't know, kept your tongue in your own mouth and maybe kept 6 feet apart. Maybe. I don't know. But the thing is, that's not true. Everyone says that this was happening back at NBC when he was at NBC. This has been a long time ongoing relationship. When they were both married, she moved her family, her husband and her kids, into the same apartment building as Zucker. They lived, I think, like a floor between them. And it was a hot, heated affair back then. Now, here's the craziest part, in case you don't know this story. She used to work for Governor Cuomo. Unbelievable.
What a shock. I mean, I was stunned to hear that information. Now, of course, that goes a million different directions, right? It's one of the parts of the story as to why they were so generous in their analysis of Andrew Cuomo through a very devastating period. It goes to why they were hesitant to criticize him at all. It goes to why they were so generous to Chris Cuomo through every single failing, from breaking quarantine to lying about it on their news network, to name this Chris Cuomo scandal. We could go through all of them, and it goes back to also that, of course, Andrew Cuomo is one of the people who knew about this. Chris Cuomo is one of the people who knew about this. And now even Brian Stelter is reporting that Chris Cuomo was threatening to go to court and burn the house down because he had this information and they were trying to protect themselves. And this is very, very consistent, Glenn, with who we know the Cuomos are. They only care about themselves. Full stop. They will destroy anyone around them, even if they've been friends or coworkers for decades. They don't care. If they can kill you for a 1% gain in what they see as their situation, they will do it. That is who they are. They've always been that way. That's the way the family operates.
You know what's so crazy is all of these people have said about the right that we're crazy, that Donald Trump has got his hands in everybody's pants, that he is a horrible human being, that he is taking bribes, that it's all nepotism, all this stuff, and they do it every day. The people who are accusing, it goes back. Do you remember I used to say progressives always tell you where their sins are because they point and diagnose to somebody else. They say, look at what they're doing. They're doing this. And if you're clean, you can go, no, but I bet you are. Thank you for that information. And it's almost always the sin that they're committing.
Yeah,
almost always.
It's projection. It's projection. They know how to do this, so they think everyone else is doing it as well. And sometimes they're right about that, honestly. I mean, there's bad people everywhere in our society. They're just a collection of them. They're a tight-knit coalition of terrible people working to tell you what the apple of fact is every single day. Now, look, we know, Glenn, we worked at CNN. Some of the people we worked with at CNN who are good people are still there. It's not everybody in the organization, but the organization has been poisoned.
So now the New York Post is talking about the body count at CNN and an explanation. Do we have our body count number? How many bodies do we have piling up at CNN, Stu?
Well, we have, of course, Andrew Cuomo, who's related to this, kind of the first one, I would say, when you say a body count. Then you go into Chris Cuomo. He's gone. That's 2. Okay. Then you have the president of CNN, Jeff Zucker, who's now gone because of this. And by the way, we should point out Brian Stelter specifically reported today that Chris Cuomo was burning the building down. He was like, you screwed me, now I'm going to reveal your affair. That's why all this stuff happened yesterday, as we said right after it happened. That's being seemingly confirmed by CNN itself. So that's 3. Then we have the head of the Human Rights Campaign. He's gone.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because he was helping Andrew Cuomo. You have the head of Time's Up, which is a remarkable one. I mean, really, when you think about it.
Incredible.
That's 5. I feel like you have a couple on the bubble, too. You've got, Don Lemon's on the bubble. Don's
okay, so let's talk about those. Let me talk about those bubbles, because the New York Post is reporting on inside information that it was actually AT&T's lawyers that said, you have to fire Zucker because you cannot have a double standard unless you want to pay the $18 million. And AT&T said, we're not paying Cuomo $18 million for this. We were right to fire him. But his attorneys, Cuomo's attorneys, were arguing this happens all the time here. So if that's true, then you'd have to go over and get Toobin and Don Lemon, and I think the woman that Zucker was, having sex with.
Making love. Just wanted to clarify.
No, I think having sex. I think
I don't know. Maybe
that place is like a porn movie.
It is. It is.
It is one place that every time I would touch a button or a wall, I would use that hand sanitizer. Just saying.
It's apparently a lot more exciting than when we worked there. I don't remember any of this stuff going on. Maybe it was.
Well, you remember. I remember you and Jenny Most.
Jeannie Most?
Jeannie Most. Yeah. Can't remember her name because she's that important, but no, that wasn't happening. That's not true.
No,
that was the rumor I was trying to
never
spread.
Confirmed, Glenn. Never confirmed.
Right. Okay.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, and it's impossibly problematic for them as an organization and we've seen this with every single one of these big media companies that has been involved in criticizing every person who's fallen to the Me Too movement, some justified, some not. And they've been on the forefront of that to say how wonderful their standards are. We saw Don Lemon doing it. We saw Chris Cuomo doing it on the air about how perfect they were and how they never made any mistakes and how they were the ones trying to hold these evil people accountable. And then you find out they're all running in the same circles, doing the same stuff. It's not surprising, I suppose, to most people at this point, but it is remarkably damaging to whatever credibility they may have had left. This is an organization that came out and ran an entire campaign showing you the picture of an apple and how this is an apple and no one else wants to admit the truth that this is an apple. And they did that and they berated people with that and took this high ground all of this time when they had none of it. The entire time they were as flawed or worse than the people they were criticizing.
And the problem is, and I've always said this to you, Stu, if you buy a Rolls Royce and you pay for it, or let's start with a Volkswagen, you buy a Volkswagen and you pay the price of a Volkswagen, but it runs like a Rolls Royce, you're happy. But if you buy a Rolls Royce and it runs like a Volkswagen, you are really upset and scream into high heaven. CNN, claimed to be the Rolls Royce of fairness and news and objectivity, et cetera, et cetera. It's not even a Volkswagen. It's a little red wagon without any wheels, and you paid the price with all your friends defending them or whatever, and your friends were defending them to you. It makes your friends look really bad. Don't beat up your friends. They just bought into the lies of CNN. But I don't think that body count is going to stand at 5 for very long. I think they've got to fumigate and God forbid, don't walk into CNN with a black light. Just don't do it. But they've got to get those people out.